Hello and welcome back to the seventh episode of The Final Whistle. I'm Drew Ziegler and I'm here with John Grant and James Gougosis. Today we will talk about the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, college basketball, and preview the World Baseball Classic. First up, Saturday afternoon, Chiefs and Jaguars. Chiefs beat the Jaguars 27-20. Pretty close game, but it looked like the Chiefs had it the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs were really just a better team in that matchup. I mean, everyone predicted them to win. They came as number one seed. They had a week off to prepare for that game, and they delivered and won the game. Now they're in the championship.
Yeah, the Chiefs got off to a hot start, and then when Mahomes went down, I thought maybe the Jaguars had a chance to win, but I think the Chiefs really cruised to that victory. They're definitely the better team, but the big question mark is Mahomes' health.
Yeah, obviously Mahomes' ankle, that'll have to get better for them to beat the Bengals. But Jaguars had their chances, and they made some key mistakes, especially that Jamal Agnew fumble in the red zone. And then next up, just terrible game, Eagles and Giants, 38-7, just like the NFC Conference Championship game a few years ago with the Vikings. It was over from the start.
Yeah, it was pure domination by the Eagles. I mean, it really showed what would happen when you have one of the best rosters in the NFL versus one of the bottom 5 to 7 rosters in the NFL. It was pure domination after the first snap. I mean, the Eagles' offense was unstoppable. The Giants' defense couldn't do anything. And then on the defensive side on the ball, I mean, Daniel Jones, every single play, I feel like he was pressured. So, there's a lot of work to be done for the Giants this offseason. But for the Eagles, I mean, this was a really good victory. I mean, even though it is still the Giants, they played phenomenal.
I mean, yeah, the Eagles look great. I mean, I'm sorry, man. It was a tough game. But the Giants, their future looks bright. I mean, if they're able to re-sign Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, their future looks bright. So does Philly. They have such a well-rounded roster. They can really be that team to take it to the Super Bowl, I think.
Yeah, the 2-1 seeds showed up this week. Giants have a lot of question marks in free agency with a lot of cap space, but they have to re-sign their quarterback and running back. And then next up, Sunday, Bengals beat the Bills 27-10. Looked like the Bengals were winning it from the start, and Josh Allen never really did anything to get back.
I mean, yeah, Josh Allen, I mean, that offense was just it couldn't find a way to click in that game. The Bengals, though, they were on fire. I mean, Joe Burrow's looked great, so that whole team's looked great. I mean, they just had a great game, and Buffalo, they have not been as good as they were in the start of the season. Those first 6 games looked like the best. They looked like the team to beat. Ever since then, they've just kind of been going downhill from there.
Yeah, I think, like John said, I mean, as of late, I mean, the Bills haven't been the same team as they were at the beginning of the season and with their expectations, and they didn't play well at all. I mean, the offense, they couldn't find they couldn't find a way to score or anything. And the Bengals, I mean, Joe Burrow really solidified himself as that guy. I mean, to go to the AFC Championship game back-to-back years already with 5 or 6 playoff wins in his third year. I mean, he really put himself as an elite quarterback, and I think the Bengals-Chiefs game really just got interesting with that performance.
Yeah, just like last year's playoffs, the Bengals defense coming up huge, and they came up to play in that game against the Bills. And then next up, our last game, 49ers and Cowboys. 49ers beat the Cowboys 19-12. Big defensive game like expected, but Cowboys couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, that was great to watch, to see the Cowboys lose. But Cowboys' defense played really well, in my opinion. They gave the Cowboys a chance to win. It's just the offense. I mean, it is against the 49ers defense, but if you give up 19 points to the 49ers, I feel like in the playoffs, you got to win that game. I mean, it was definitely winnable. They had their chances. Dak Prescott, I mean, the turnovers, I mean, that's been his problem all season. So it's really disappointing. And if you're a Cowboys fan, there's big question marks about if Dak Prescott is that guy in the playoffs. We haven't seen that in 6 years. So for the 49ers, they didn't play great, but, they got the job done. That's all you need to just win, advance and survive.
I mean, yeah, I've been saying this for a while. Dak Prescott is not going to win you a Super Bowl. Even when they got rid of Romo, Jerry Jones ruined what could have been one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in Tony Romo and Dez Bryant and Dak Prescott. And ever since then, Dak Prescott is not going to win you a Super Bowl. The 49ers, yeah, they had a good game, but Brock Purdy and that offense, they did not look good at all. They did not look as good as they did versus Seattle. And I don't think that you can really rely on a defense that much now. That much to win you the game. in order to go and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Cowboys, I think their best playmaker, Tony Pollard, going out, that didn't help them, obviously, and they had to turn to Ezekiel Elliott, especially in that final play. I don't know what that was, but next up, our championship games. First up, NFC Championship, 49ers at Eagles. It'll be tough for the 49ers to win this one in Philly, but we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got Philly in this one. I got Philly a lot. I think that their offense is great, and I think that their defense is right up there with the 49ers in that top 5 kind of area. And, I just said this before. The 49ers offense is not good enough to go and win a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy is young. He hasn't even played 10 games in the league yet. He's not going to be able to go out there and win you a Super Bowl. The Eagles, though, that offense, they have a lot of playmakers. They have Jalen Hurts is a way more experienced quarterback than Brock Purdy is. So I got the Eagles in that one.
Yeah, I got the Eagles too. I mean, I think all the talk's going to be the 49ers defense, but I think you got to give the Eagles offense a little bit of respect. Their defense is also, as good as John said, but I think, the big reason why they're going to win is because it's played in Philly. I mean, it's the most hostile environment, in my opinion, in the NFL. So I think that's really going to play a factor for Brock Purdy. And I think it'll be a relatively low-scoring game because, both defenses are elite. But I think the Eagles are going to pull away in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Brock Purdy hasn't lost a game yet, but I think that's going to change, and I think the Eagles are going to win this one also. I'm going to agree with you guys. And AFC Championship, repeat of last year, Bengals at Chiefs. Mahomes is hurt. Who do you think is going to win?
If Mahomes wasn't hurt, I would think I would take the Chiefs, but we have no idea how well he's gonna be able to play. I mean, he's not gonna be as explosive or as mobile as he would if he was healthy. So I think the Bengals are gonna win. I mean, if you look a year back, I think the Bengals are better than they were last year, and I think the Chiefs aren't as good, especially with Mahomes injured. I don't think they're the same team as they were last year. So I think the Bengals are gonna go into Arrowhead and win again.
I mean, yeah, Mahomes suffered that high ankle sprain, serious injury. I don't know if he's going to be able to play, and even if he does, he's going to be nowhere near as mobile as he usually is. I got Cincy even if Mahomes was 100%, though. I think that Cincinnati is a great team. I think that they're hot right now. I think that they have a better roster. I think that Joe Burrow is playing the best season of his career. Because people forget that his first season, his rookie year, he had a season-ending injury. So this is basically his sophomore season in the league, and it is his second AFC Championship appearance.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, top 5 quarterback in the league, I think. And something that wasn't talked about, though, the Bengals' offensive line banged up with injuries, but they played great versus the Bills last week. And I also have Cincinnati in this one. And when we come back, we'll be joined by Stephen Kubis to talk about college basketball. Welcome back, and now we're going to get into college basketball. First up, UConn was top 5 team in the country, but now they're struggling. Losses to Xavier, Providence, Marquette, St. John's, and Seton Hall, all in the conference. Obviously huge losses. Some of them are ranked teams, but some of them aren't.
Yeah, I said a couple times on the show that UConn is they have to prove it to me that they're that good, and then I just see how they're not. They're proving them to be a good team, but a not top 25 team in my opinion. But they do have a big game today versus Xavier, so I can't wait to see how they play in there.
Yeah, when they lost their first game, I said, if they just don't go on a losing streak, they'll be fine, and they've gone on a losing streak. I mean, they went from the number 2 team in the country to 19. They're still going to make the tournament. That's a given, but then the expectations of them being a top seed is gone. They got to finish the season strong if they want to make a run in the tournament. So these next week or 2 weeks, it's going to be key to how they're going to do in the tournament.
Yeah, they're still going to make the tournament. They destroyed Butler after those losses. They should win that game. But next up, a top team who has been losing, Kansas. Lost to all ranked teams like TCU, Kansas State, and Baylor. But if you're going to be a top team, you have to win those games.
Yeah, similar to UConn. I mean, Kansas was 16-1, number 2 team in the country, and now they're on a 3-game losing streak. I mean, again, upsets do happen in college basketball. It's inevitable. But, I mean, a 3-game losing streak is tough. I mean, it's really hard to bounce back from that. So, again, with UConn, similar with UConn, Kansas needs to get back on track if they want to, not make the tournament, but do well in the tournament. And they have to, win their next few games, do well in the Big 12 tournament to be able to do that.
Yeah, Kansas is a big name in the Big 12, and I think everybody thinks when you think college basketball, you think right away it's Kansas. Kansas wins it usually them, but Baylor has won it a couple of years, but usually Kansas is always in the championship for that tournament. But I don't think this year. I think they're going to get upset in the first couple of rounds of the Big 12 tournament, because of the way they're playing against all these teams, and I don't know if they can do that well in that tournament, which is bad.
Yeah, Kansas obviously won last year, but we'll see what they can do this year. And a few of the especially top teams from last year, Gonzaga and Houston, both upset at home. Gonzaga by Loyola Marymount, first home loss in 75 games. I have no idea where Loyola Marymount is, but what a win for them.
I mean, yeah, that's incredible. They had that long win streak at home, and they just lost to this most irrelevant team I've ever heard of in my life. But, it's pretty good for that team. They're probably high hopes right now. They think they can do whatever they could. It's good for them. But Gonzaga, yeah, they don't have a star point guard. I think that's their issue. They have Drew Timme, but, he's old, and he's gone next year. So it's he's like a whatever player to me. But he obviously is their best player, and I think they need another person to step up. And with Houston, I think you needed that loss just to give yourself, a reality check, okay, we can still lose to these teams, whatever. So I think they'll be fine in the future.
Yeah, Gonzaga losing their first home loss in 75 home games. They haven't been that same team that they've been these past few years with the 1 seed. So, I think Gonzaga, they're just not that team. Drew Timme, I don't think he has that much help around him. So, I think it's definitely concerning. And for Houston, I think they'll be fine. Upsets do happen in college basketball, and you really need to get that one out of the way. It's better to lose now than in March.
I don't know what you're talking about. Drew Timme's old. The guy's in college. But number 5 team, Kansas State, 17-3 record, surprise. But wins against Kansas, Texas, and Texas Tech. Just some huge wins, and they're a great team this year.
Yeah, they've been a real big surprise in college basketball. We don't really expect Kansas State to be, a good basketball school. They're more of a football school. So I think it's always great to see, a surprising team, come out and be, a top team in the country. It's always exciting.
Yeah, they have that. They have their new transfer star, Keontae Johnson. He had a heart problem when he was on Florida against Florida State. I was watching it live on ESPN. It was very heartbreaking. But to see him come back and have this type of season for Kansas State and literally carry him to a 17-3 record is absolutely incredible in my eyes. But yesterday they had a bad loss to Iowa State, a really bad loss. I thought they could have won that game. But, Keontae Johnson didn't have a good first half, and I think that's the reason why they lost.
A Big 12 loss there, but Iowa State, number 12 team in the country, so they're still a good team. And another team who's expected to be a football school, but even better in basketball this year, number 2 in the country, Alabama.
Yeah, they're shocking. My dad's friend's son plays on the team. Javon Quinterly's a backup point guard there. I think he's one of the key players there. He's the guy off the bench that comes into the game and gives a lot of assists to his teammates. A very selfish player. Can I re-say that?
Just keep going.
Javon Quinterly's a really unselfish player. He gets a lot of assists every game. He knocks down a couple of threes, but Alabama's team all around is just really good, and I can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah, similar to Kansas State. Unexpected team. They're expected to be well, but not this good. Same with Tennessee. Alabama number 2, Tennessee number 4. SEC is better than we thought. And, Alabama, I think with Alabama, they're just consistently blowing teams out. I think they're playing well consistently. They had a couple of losses, but, again, it's college basketball. People lose. Teams lose. So I think Alabama really hot right now. I think they could definitely make some noise in March.
Yeah, almost a double-digit win streak for them. And another team in the SEC, number 4 in the country, Tennessee. They lost to Kentucky but bounced back with some conference wins. What do you think about them?
Yeah, I think people forget Kentucky. They're still a quality team. They're underperforming, but I wasn't very shocked to see them to lose to Tennessee. But I think this next game against Texas, I think that's going to be a huge game. If they could beat them, I think that'll really propel them up to maybe number 3, number 2 in the country if they could pull out the win.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's having a great year, but I'm not sold on them because of their recent history, how they end their seasons in March and not even March, before March. But I'm just not sold on what they do at the end of the year. I feel like they always ruin their chances somehow, or someone gets hurt. But right now they're playing awesome, and you can't take that away from them.
Yeah, and after the short break, we will talk about the projected lineups for some of the World Baseball Classic teams and give some of our predictions. We're back, and now we're going to talk about the World Baseball Classic. It begins March 8th, and it's a 4-pool tournament starting off. The games are played in Taichung, Taiwan, Tokyo, Japan, Arizona, and Miami. And first up, the team we're going to talk about, Dominican Republic, just a young all-star team. Their lineup is just stacked. No weak spots.
Yeah, if the World Classic goes on, this team will never change. Right now their team is looking unstoppable hitting-wise. Their pitching is really good too, especially with Sandy and like Javier on the mound. But I think they have a really good chance of actually pushing it. Usually they don't really do that well. It's usually like USA and Japan. But like I think they can make a really strong push this year.
Yeah, if they don't win, I think it's be a huge disappointment. I mean, they have like 4 or 5 MVP candidates. I mean, they got Soto, Machado, Vlad Guerrero, Jose Ramirez, just to name a few. And then their pitching is really good too. They got Alcantara, Luis Castillo, and casually just have top 2 reliever Emmanuel Clase in the pen. So I mean, it's pretty much just an all-star lineup. I think the one weak spot is Gary Sanchez at catcher, but I mean, who cares at that point? I mean, you got like 8 superstars on that lineup.
Yeah, that team is just insane, and they'll be there for a while. And another team, they finally got some good players, the USA, and they can make some noise also in the tournament.
Yeah,
obviously Mike Trout leading them.
Yeah, obviously Mike Trout joining the team makes the team just that much better. I mean, they still got Betts and Arenado, reigning NL MVP Paul Goldschmidt. So I think their one weakness is their pitching. I mean, outside of Corbin Burns, Clayton Kershaw, they don't really have that much pitching. If they can get a couple of guys to commit, like Corbin Burns or like maybe DeGrom or Scherzer, they'll be good. But the pitching is definitely the weak spot, and if they lose, that's definitely the reason why they'll lose.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I think the pitching is not good at all. I think we need one of those like top aces on the team. I don't think we have that. I mean, Logan Webb, yeah, Nestor, okay, but they're all like 2 or 3 guys to me, in my opinion. Like even on their own teams. So I think we need one. I think we need a number 1 on that team to actually have a chance. But the lineup's insane. Trey Turner, obviously a guy who bats like 320. Like that's to be insane for them. He's gonna hit nonstop. And then Mike Trout joining is just unbelievable. Finally get to see the GOAT play in the U.S. team for Team USA, and I think that's great.
Yeah, they actually have Ken Griffey Jr. as one of their coaches. That'll be cool to see. And they don't have Corbin Burns, but they have his teammate Devin Williams in the bullpen. And Puerto Rico last time they lost to USA in the finals, and they can make some noise with Lindor and Correa also. But another team who looks scary, Japan, they always are great in this, and they obviously have the best player in the world, Shohei Ohtani, leading them, and they have Yu Darvish and Seiya Suzuki, just to name a few.
I mean, yeah, Japan's always good. You always see them in the semifinal round. They always will see either U.S. or Puerto Rico. But I think since Shohei has become the player he is now, because he was playing there when he was a little bit younger, he wasn't who he is now. If he plays like this, like he did in MLB, he's going to be really good. I think that he'll pitch in the semifinals. Maybe they even will save him for the championship too. And I think if he pitches those games, I think Japan has a legit shot of winning.
Yeah, Japan always has good pitching. I think this is a really good time to have players, brought up to the big stage and make a name for themselves. This is the perfect opportunity to do so. So even though their lineup, if you look, they don't have that many MLB players, they still got really good players in Japan who could be superstars. I mean, Ohtani said that he thinks there's a couple of guys who could be better than him on the lineup. So I think they could definitely make, they're a sneaky team to make a run all the way to the finals, in my opinion.
Yeah,
maybe upset a team like U.S. or the DR.
Yeah, they have new Mets pitcher Kodai Senga also. We'll see him in action for our first time. And that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for watching The Final Whistle, and we will see you next week.